Even though the words hard and firm are used to describe the same thing, hardware and firmware are completely different. They are nothing alike. But hang on, you also heard the word software, right? When you talk about a computer, you say hardware and software. So what is firmware and why is it different from software? Let's try to understand that in simple language. You see, you already know what hardware and software is, right? Hardware and software both, in essence, are a collection of components. Hardware is a collection of hardware components, different parts that make a device work. And the software is a collection of different programs that are running on top that allow you to use the hardware. But that's not entirely correct. You see, software is not the one that allows you to use that hardware. That job belongs to the firmware. Firmware acts as a bridge between software and hardware. It allows you, the developer, to control the hardware with the help of simple commands. And unlike software, which is designed for a wide range of accessories, firmware is often very specific to one single hardware, meaning that the firmware designed for one Bluetooth chip may not necessarily work with the firmware of another company's Bluetooth chip. There are of course universal firmware like USB, right? So the USB drivers on your computer allow you to connect to all kinds of USB devices. And firmware is needed for everything. Like you may have heard the word driver, right? Driver is basically a firmware. It is a software that allows your devices to be connected to the machine and communicate with it. It allows the machine to understand what this device is and how it operates. And thereby it allows you to build programs and software around it so that you can use this to do cool things. And interestingly, most of your accessories nowadays have a built-in memory just to store their own firmware, meaning that your keyboard, if it has some features like customizable RGB or customizable macros, sometimes the companies, they include a small memory like about 64 KB or so in the device itself, so that when you flash a firmware update, it's stored in the keyboard itself. So this allows you to take this keyboard which has been updated on one machine and connect it to another machine and essentially have the same functionality. That allows it to be completely portable without sacrificing any features. You don't have to carry the software with you on a thumb drive at all times. And that is essentially it. Hardware and software are like the screwdriver holder and the screw. Firmware is the bit that allows the holder to connect to the screw so that you can operate it. And as you know, screwdriver bits are very unique, meaning that they often cannot be interchanged. Yes, you can kind of get some things to work, but they may not always work reliably and may require you to kind of restart your system. You tend to notice them on outdated PCs or outdated software, like sometimes your mouse scroll wheel used to stop working on older PCs, so you had to restart the computer itself. USB is so much better, like we take it for granted these days. Not needing a separate driver for your USB drive, your keyboard and mouse is a huge time saver. Wireless stuff is a little tricky when it comes to universal standards. Things like Bluetooth aren't always reliable and they aren't the fastest. That's why companies, if they want to make something wireless and fast, they oftentimes develop their own chip. Like Apple, they developed their own W series chips for their wireless devices. They could have used just the standard edition Bluetooth chips, but it would come with the same drawbacks as every other earphone. And the reason why the AirPods work so well with an iPhone is because they have the same chip in them. So that's about it. Firmware is the link that holds hardware and software together. Software can be kind of universal. It can work with different things. I mean, your PC doesn't care which keyboard you use, right? As long as the keyboard is the same standard as everything else, it works. Unlike software, which are constantly updated every month or so, firmware aren't usually updated. Once they are working properly, companies are very hesitant to change their firmware because a mistake in the firmware would mean that your hardware itself will be inaccessible. That used to happen a lot when I used to try out different custom ROMs, but it doesn't happen with official updates as much. Anyways, I hope you learned something. That was a pretty simple explanation of what these things mean.